up, everyone? This is Adam Quiney, and tonight I want to talk about the choice between being right and getting what you want. People, people often reach this point in their work with a coach, and the way I'll sort of lay it out is to take a few steps back, and I want to quote a passage from a book called Illusions, written by Richard Bach. If you haven't read Illusions, I highly recommend it. It's I guess you could call it a parable, or it's a story with a narrative. It's ultimately a book about leadership, and it's just a very beautiful story. Richard Bach's an incredible writer. So Illusions. But in it, at one point, this one character says to the other, if you argue for your limitations, then that is what you will surely get. If you argue for your limitations, then that is what you will surely get. So what does he mean by that? What he means is that if you argue for the reasons why you can't do something, if you argue for all of the reasons out there that make it impossible for you to pursue whatever dream it is you have, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get that truth. You're going to get those limitations. If you're arguing, because if you think about it, arguing for something is really defending or justifying why it has to be there. And the more you do that, the more it entrenches that. And the more it entrenches itself in your thinking. If you are devoting time, energy, and your speaking to arguing in favor or for why something must be a certain way, that's naturally going to sink itself into your subconscious. So some examples might be where, we might have someone that says, look, I would love to go out solo, but there's no way I can do so because the economy is just too crazy. And, with your friends, most of the time they'll either agree with you or they'll disagree, and you'll just be like, fuck it, it's my friend, whatever. You kind of push them away. In a coaching conversation, we'll work with you. We'll work with you to actually take a look at like, hey, well, hang on, is that actually true? And we might start to poke at some of your truths, some of what you hold to be true. And often people find themselves in this situation where they are arguing for they start to present evidence or proof or truths, reasons why what they're saying is correct. So we might say, well, what's the story about the economy? And they'll say, well, it's just so rickety that it's such a bad time to start a business. So no one should do that. And it's just, you can't guarantee success. And we might take a look, and who knows, maybe we'd point to some other places where people have started new businesses and been successful. And they'll argue for why that's an exception. And we might point to some things that they could take on, and they'd argue why those things won't support them. And it really gets down to this point where the irony is that everything they're arguing for is also what stands in the way of what they say they want. And so they're kind of put in this, they've put themselves in this situation unwittingly, where they can either be right about everything that they're arguing for, and any good coach will let me finish that thought. So they can either be right about what they're arguing for, or they can let go of that righteousness, that insistence upon being correct about it, and start to create what they really want, and let go of that story that they're right about. A good coach will start to notice when a client is getting what we'd call positional, or when their heels get stuck in. Because my job as a coach is not to provide someone convincing enough evidence to push them off of that particular thing. That's never what a good coach should do. Well, I'm saying what a good coach should do, but that's not the job of a coach. A coach is simply to put someone at choice, to point to what's actually happening, and then invite them to choose. So I might tell the person, like, look, A, you say you really want this thing. You say you're absolutely committed to it. And then B, I notice you're repeatedly telling yourself this story and providing reason after reason why that story absolutely 100% has to be true. Are you willing to let go of your grip, your white knuckle grip on that story being true, to explore something outside of it? And for some people, it's quite remarkable. They're just unable, they're unwilling to let go of that story. And you can hear it in their speaking as I'll explore something with them, be like, well, what are some ways where, it might not be that hard or that rigid? And they'll start to play in that area, that place we call possibility, take a look like, well, yeah, I guess I could, but no, that's crazy because blah, blah, blah. And then what they've done is they've run right back to the safety of that story that they have that they're right about. And so a lot of times in life, you can have what you want or you can be right, but not both. Because what you're right about is your own limiting belief. The things that you've worked out that are 100% correct, that are true, that you know to be fact, often are also the things that are holding you in place right here, that are preventing you from creating that next level of success that you really want to create in your life. So think about that one. You can either be right or you can create what you want. You can have the life you want, or you can be right about the reasons why you can't have it. But you can't have both. Much love.